the fall. That's a great question. Um, I do believe that the incarnation is the purpose of creation. It's not only that it would have happened nonetheless, is that it's actually the reason for creation, and that it is in some ways what God wanted, in creation was to, you have to think of creation almost like an overflow of love, that God is love, and so much that he creates something outside of him in order to be able to love it and to participate, and for it's his creation to participate in his life. He's like saying that he has so much love that he wants to share the love of the Trinity with things that aren't even that aren't him completely.
Yep.
And so the incarnation is in some ways the telos of the Trinity. Now, would it have appeared differently? And this is a really interesting idea. Is that I think that it's yes and no. That I think that obviously death is caused by the fall, and the way that death manifests itself is related to the fall. But there is a manner in which the incarnational principle is it is an emptying out. It is God giving himself and emptying himself into creation out of love. And so, although, physically in the world, it would have looked different. It would have been Adam, you could say, that would have attained this incarnation, who would have become the vehicle for the incarnation. But it still would have looked like an outpouring. Now, I don't know what that totally looks like outside of the fall, because I live in the world of the fall. I see death, and I see, but this idea that in some ways the sacrifice is at the foundation of reality, that God's emptying, his kenosis and his emptying into reality, is actually how the world functions, and it's at the basis of creation. I think that that's definitely true, but there wouldn't necessarily have been the image that we have of the cross and the torture and all of that is definitely
But
conditioned by the fall.
the part of what gets us sideways about this is an over focus on, this is a strange thing to say, Holy Week for us is next week, and if you're in the West, Holy Week will be happening for you right now. But there is an over focus on the cross to the exclusion of the other events of Christ's life as being actually, salvific. So we think of the cross when we talk about the incarnation, like why did God have to become man? Usually the answer becomes something like, oh, well, he had to become man, so because a man had to die, dot 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 dot. But actually, these are two separate things that Christ is accomplishing in his incarnation, his assuming of our nature, his living in the body, his suffering on the flesh, right? His entrance into the lower regions of the earth, and so on. He's doing all of that